Morning. I thought I'd do a bit of a day in the life of, because if you've bought somewhere in the middle of nowhere, there's no running water, there's no house, there's no accommodation. Like, how do you do it when you turn up? How do you live for the bit in between having a house and not? I also thought maybe it might be interesting in the future to see the comparisons between this and maybe some later ones. Perhaps we'll do one where we've got some off-grid stuff. You'll have to forgive my blah because I've just got up, because I thought I'd take you on the day from the beginning. So I have got up, I've got changed. I'll show you in the tent later on, and next we head off to the van. Nothing's tidy, I'm just showing you exactly as it is. I'm trying to make it look more attractive than it is. So what do I do here? So here I get changed from my camping clothes into my work clothes, because we're not just, look, it's different. If you're just camping, you just have to worry about camping, but if you're camping and working like this, you have to worry about different clothes, getting mucky in different ways. So that's why I change into these, which is my regular work stuff. I clean my teeth and brush my hair and do all those kind of ablutions, not just here, but this is where I keep it. I have, my wife buys about six of those, and I keep one for washing, which means that when I take a swig from that and I've got toothpaste in my face, I don't then pour that in my tea, which would be gross. I just prefer to keep things separate like that. So I keep that one there. I've got some wellies just down there that I use for helping to change. I think that's about it for in there. I then open up the back of the van, which is just a tail lift, and in here I've got my tea and coffee station. I've already made my morning tea. I'm going to go through power and how we do that all later. We'll go through this at lunchtime. But right now, what have we got for breakfast? Banana, chai tea, and got a freezer bag too. Got my morning oat cookie. So I'm going to get on with that, wake up a little bit, and then I'll see you again at the next thing I do with living, which will be lunch. So I'm trying to give an accurate account of what it's like living here. So the grim bits that, if you're trying to be a cool YouTuber, you probably wouldn't touch on. It's also the thing I reckon most of you are panicking about if you're doing something like this. How do you go to the toilet? And the answer is, if you're going for a wee, you go there, you go there, go there, over there if you like. But if it's not a wee, and if my wife's watching, don't watch this bit, try and keep the romance alive and all that, you use a spade. And you dig a hole, you do your doo-doo, bury it back in. Just make sure you 2 points, pick a spot where you're not going to be digging anytime in the near future, otherwise you'll dig it back up. And number two, if you've got a road just there, make sure you pick a spot that they can't see you from the road before you start, otherwise you're going to have to cut things short fairly quickly when a car comes past. Okay, there we go, gross bit done. Let's get on with the rest. So it's tea time, as in time for a cup of tea. So I thought now's as good a time as any to go through how we power ourselves whilst being off, not only off grid, but we're camping in a minute. If you're off grid, you can just have solar panels and batteries and all sorts. So you see me there? Nope. You see me there? You know what? I'll put you back on there. Okay. So, kettle, yeah. I'm going to put you down for a second while I organise this, because I'm just kind of going on the fly. Okay, kettle, bottle of water. I only filled it up for 1 cup because we've got limited power here. Mug, don't want that mug. Particular about mugs. That mug's for milk, milky things. That other mug over here that my wife bought me is for my normal teas. There we go. Got it. We go to my tea. I'm gonna pick this. Okay, so we've got 2 things here. Considering it's difficult to get stuff delivered here, there are a lot of lorries going past on this road. Okay, so you can hear it winding up. That's the kettle. I'm going to wait till it's finished boiling because I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me over the whir. Okay, so that is the power. What we've got is we've got two things. We've got a battery bank, which is that thing there, and that's got 3 point something kilowatts worth of power. It's got four plugs there. I've got a battery charging in that one at the minute for the nail gun. The T in there, and then 2 spare. Probably don't need that one in at the moment. You turn the power on and off with that. That's the machine on and off, which tells you all the data there. Output watts, as in how much is being used, which is why when the kettle was being used, that went up really high, like 2.5 kilowatts. And the quantity of time it had less went right down because it was calculating how long would it be running if that was being pulled, how long will it last. And then the input, best thing about this, and the reason we got it is because you can just plug solar panels straight into it. The back has all these connectors on it, so you can plug it into a wall, you can plug the solar in, you can plug it into a car, although you'll get very slow charging, and you get a second battery. And then this is to go to this, which is the petrol. This is dual fuel, so it runs off petrol or gas if you wanted to, generator, which means that if you don't have solar or anything and you just are like we are right now with nothing, you can turn this on. I mean, it's a bit against the flow because that's petrol. You're trying to be eco and off the grid and you're just running a petrol generator. It's, you know, it's not all that eco, is it? The reason we got that one, which is petrol, instead of like a diesel generator, is because when we looked at the costs of them, they were quite expensive. These two work together, they're smart. I don't like smart stuff, and I don't even have don't have a smartphone, so these have smartphone functionality, which means you can monitor all the charging remotely, blah blah blah. I don't care about that. But it's there. My wife has a smartphone, so we can get to it. I don't need to charge that right now, but I'll turn it on just so you see how it works. Getting away from the noise. It's a really loud generator, which isn't brilliant, but it does charge it pretty quickly in about an hour. With it's a tank of fuel, charges it from empty to full. Maybe I need to be somewhere. It looks like you can still hear the generator. So about an hour charges the generator, and that's one tank of fuel. Which how much is one tank of fuel? I'm gonna say 5 litres, but it might not be 5 litres, and I haven't checked the tech specs, and I just kind of slosh it in. So I've got one of those big green jerry cans, the metal ones, and I haven't emptied it yet, and I've been using this for months. How long does it last? I'm using power tools all day, and all the power I'm using here, which is just boiling kettles really, I'm not using lights at the moment, but I am charging on my tools, and I'm using a chop saw on the power, so that's plugged in. I have to charge it once while I'm here, and that's not down to 0. I just charge it because it gets down to like 30%. I don't want to risk it just stopping whilst I'm working, so that's really good. It's got USB cables on the front, it's got a USB-C cable. If you want to increase the capacity, you can just add a second battery. They were expensive, so they were £4,500 for both, and that was on sale. Or maybe it was 3.5 on sale, and it was supposed to be 4.5. It's about £4,000 anyway, so it's not cheap. But we got quotes for diesel generators, and they were really quite expensive, but they had a far higher capacity. But you can't. I can just take it anywhere. I can wheel it up the top of the hill if I want. It's heavy, but it is portable. It's got a little like roller trolley handle on the front. And I mean, the end goal here is to have all the panels and everything connected properly into proper lithium batteries and all that. We're going to get the panels, and then we'll be able to, in the short term, don't buy the panels. Don't buy the panels that they sell, because they suck. They're really expensive. Just buy regular panels, and they plug in. You don't need their special panels, solar panels, I mean. So we're going to get the solar panels. We're going to plug that in. Use this in the meantime, because there's no wiring. You don't have any fuse boxes or anything. And the static caravan has a fuse box, so you just plug the static caravan lead into that, and that works really well. But in the end, we're going to have all of the fuse boxes, all the lithium batteries, all of the converters, and blah 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 blah. I was going to do that initially, but the idea of having to do everything I'm doing already and build this whole renewable wiring system, which is huge, costs about 11 grand for all the panels, all the batteries, and everything like that. So yeah, this is £3,500, £4,000, whatever it was. I don't know, somewhere between £3,500 and £4,500, but it's done. I haven't got to wire it. We could resell it for close to the value, I think, although they're just so handy we probably won't. And it will do our needs in the meantime. So yeah, that's how I make tea and use power whilst camping in a field. 6 o'clock and time for dinner, but I just usually keep, not at home I don't, but just keep working through. Have a barbecue for dinner. Here, because I've got a barbecue, and it's just a nice way of having a cooked meal, I think. I'm sure you could boil water and do stuff that way, but I can just kind of leave the barbecue going, dip in and out of cooking it. But it's probably a good opportunity to go through the freezer. Well, it's not really a freezer, fridge. The thing that I've got here to keep the stuff cool is this. Move the kettle. This here, which has got, should have my dinners in, although now I'm thinking about it, I think Amy's put them in the freezer freezer bag. But it's got a bit there for water, so you can freeze that, keep it cool. Got some milk, and then we found that if you put, Amy froze the milk for me first time round, and it kept everything so much cooler than if it hadn't had something frozen in it. So this time we froze a bottle of water, and I think it just helps keep it cool. This does need power. It doesn't need power all the time, like it does sort of keep it cool without. And it's got these controls here, so we just put it on to Eco for most of the day. It's supposed to keep things warm, but I've never done that before. And then maybe once a day I just put it on max to just, you know, give it a good boost and cool everything back down. So what do we got for dinner? What have we got for dinner? Going in this freezer bag again. We currently get our meat from Piper's Farm, and they give you these sheep's wool sort of packaging, and we just reuse it because it keeps stuff cool for ages. That's why this is in that's why my dinner's in the cool bag, not in the fridge over there. So I have in the past, in fact all the time up until now, I just barbecue, like I have some burgers or some sausages or something, but this time I've got some kind of lasagna pot thing that Amy made that I'm going to heat up on the barbecue, and that'll be my dinner. So I leave anybody who likes a barbecue knows you just kind of leave the coals to warm up, put some more coals on once the first ones are gone, and then once it's nice and warm I'll bung that on. But while I'm doing all that, I just keep working, and then after it's all finished, it's all cooked, come out here and have a sit down, and I'll see you back then. My wife says you can tell it's done when you can smell it, and I can smell it from all the way over there, so I reckon it's good. It's been on for ages, and I put a load of charcoal on, so it's been cooking it. It's at 2. Don't know what it is, but it looks really tasty. Weather's turned a little bit, so it's not quite as sunny as it was earlier. I'm going to eat this and then finish off work. And then once this is done, it's time for washing. Yay! Actually, it's not as bad as it sounds. I'll show you, although I'm not actually going to wash in front of the camera. I'll just show you how. Not that you don't know how to wash, but you know what I mean. I don't know if this is a useless tip or a useful tip, but just wash my hands before dinner. And when you're in this kind of situation, as in you've got no tap, running water, and you've got your soap in your hand like this. Oh, let me just take the lid off. And you've done that, you've got soap all over your hands, and you don't want to get it all over the bottle. Plus, how do you wash your hands without emptying the bottle? So I just found if you keep it under your elbow like that, it's not full though. If it's full, it just goes everywhere. And then you just kind of lean over, and you've got like a little bit of a tap. Just sort of saves a bit of water and gets the job done. Like you're going to need that, but help me out. Okay, so time to wash. It's 7:45. Varies on what time. Oh, there we go, close the van door, otherwise it gets filled with bugs. Turn the light off on the inside, but I like that to be my kind of dry clean zone if possible. And the tent, obviously that's got to be dry and clean, but that's dry clean zone number 2. I did have that dunk in the river that I had a couple of videos back. I mustn't forget to dig that drainage channel out. So the stream I'm going to go and have a wash in. I found last time that the water, when it rains, just runs straight down the road and straight in the drive, and just, I mean, it puddles. It's not really that bad, but there's a bit down there that needs to be dug out again that flows into this stream. So I shall. Do you jump the gate or do you open the gate? None of the gates here are on. I'm gonna just open it. I'm gonna jump it. Can I open it? I'm gonna jump it. It'd be easy if they were all hung, but not a single one of them are. They're all on a rope, which means none of them open. And if you jump them, you've always got the risk that you're going to end up ripping it off, and then you have to repair the gate. And I mean, I'm going to replace them eventually anyway. I'm just checking through there, see if I can see any sheep. Saw them earlier. They ventured close to the barn. Mummy, daddy, baby sheep. What was I saying? Yeah, so I had a dunk in the river last time because it was really, really hot, and I just wanted to, you know, you just need to be submerged. But because the waterfall had dried up a bit, it was a pool that had been there a while, so there was bits floating in it. It was clear to look at, like it looked nice, and then when you got actually in it, you realise you probably weren't getting very clean. You were just getting covered in bits. And then I discovered this bit, which is very pretty, and it's got rocks and stuff which are really easy to walk on. Well, very pretty apart from ignore the barbed wire and the iron gate. Let's just pretend it is as we'll have it in the end. A nice log here to put the stuff on. So that was something else over here that Anyway, so I won't degrade myself to wear Crocs, but I have wellies. So I changed out my work boots, got the wellies. I've got soap, I've got a microfiber towel, and I just stand in the stream, soak the microfiber towel, wash. I don't bother drying because I'm just washing with a microfiber towel, so you know, air dry, so it dries on me. I'm going back to work anyway, so it's just a refresh really. But it keeps it nicer in the evenings if you've had a wash. Hat, because my hair is it's just undone. I'm going to brush that through. More for the ladies than men, I think. Long hair, but I mean, it is something to manage, isn't it? Like if you're taking your wife camping and she's got long hair, it's all right if you've got short hair. I never thought I'd envy. I don't envy people with short hair. I quite like my hair, but you know what I mean. It's a thing. You don't have to deal with it if you haven't got it. So weather's not as nice today though, so it's not. Well, now it's not quite as appealing. The best policy is just get in and get it done. I'm not filming it. Give you my impressions afterwards, although I've done this before, so I know what it's like. Okay, so we're clean, we're changed. The trick with this is balance. I think perhaps if you can find a better stone, maybe I should move that one there over here, because when you're standing in the stream you're wet, and then when you're standing on the rocks on the side you're getting dirty again, so you need like a nice slab to stand on to dry off. Otherwise you have to have very good balance. You end up kind of one-legging it, taking your trousers off with one leg and then putting other things on whilst balancing on one leg, and then trying to, which is fine, but be better if you perhaps had I mean, if this is permanent, I'd get one of those lovely bamboo, you know, like the shower mats that you stand on. Check I've got everything, truck keys, clothes.
This site just needs a little bit of work. Like there's some barbed wire and, like I said, just makes really pretty places like that. I mean, it's got this kind of lovely root bit down there, and this is off of the grove. So come down here and got all of that. Just a really lovely place, but it just needs somebody to tidy it up. Like there's a pipe running through there. I haven't yet discovered where it runs to or from. I suspect somebody was trying to, they'd have to be pretty inventive to be doing hydropower. I imagine they were probably trying to get water from and to somewhere. So they like rain. A little bit. Maybe just jump this gate again. Hope it doesn't rip off. That rope looks very... that jumped off too early. Ow. Come home and cut some bruises all over the place. And oh, wow, it's like misty, and I don't know if it is misty, it's just kind of evening. It's not twilight yet, it's not late enough, but that's why we wanted to move up here. I'm not the kind of guy who likes, I do like sunny weather, and it certainly helps when you're doing things like this, and yeah, it stops everything getting wet. So for that, in that occasion, it's nice not to have rain, but I actually prefer rainy weather to sunny weather. I just prefer weather, like weather with things going on. That's what I like. I don't need it to be sunny weather, like sunny, non-windy. It's just so nondescript. I mean, it's pleasant to sit in, I suppose, if you're doing nothing, but I'm really doing nothing. So I like storms, I like rain, I like heavy rain. I'm not that keen on wind, but that's only because of what I'm usually doing. The wind blows it away or makes it a bit harder, but I will like wind eventually. It's just right now we live in a 3-story building that we've been building, and I'm always panicking the roof's going to blow off or chimney's going to blow down or something, so that's why I don't like wind at the moment. But it's just going to be so amazing here. It's hard right now, but it's going to be amazing. 8:04. I'm going to give the wife a call, check she's okay, check Casper's okay, and then to finish the day off, I'll just show you my sleeping arrangements before it gets too much darker, and then I'll probably just keep going with work, and then I'll just go to bed. I'm just going to show you the tent. I'm not going to do the whole like, it's me, I'm in my tent, I'm all groggy and blah blah blah. You'll have to imagine that bit. Alright, so the midges have decided to come out. So we're going to go and seek safety in the tent. I wasn't actually planning on getting in. I was going to open the door and show you from the outside, but if we do that, the midges will all just congregate outside of the door and then inside of the tent, and we'll never get them out. So we'll get in, get the bug screen all zipped back up again. There's so many slugs here. So many slugs. It's like Slug City. I wonder if you get any... There's also a mouse that's living right next to where I've put the tent, which is unfortunate because I think I may have rehomed him. This is the tent. It's a Van Gogh Spectre 200, which I don't know what it means. I think 200 means sleeps 2 people, but I mean, to be honest, there's no way you're sleeping 2 people in this. It's I can just about fit in it, which is nice because it's nice and cozy, but you are never ever fitting 2 people in here, even husband and wife. You just end up kicking each other the whole night. Right, in we go. Take my wellies off on my way in, and then zip this up super quick because the midges can smell your breath, like I said last time, and they just follow you in. So got it all zipped up. The tent is it's got like an outside tent and then it's just open, but the inside sleeping compartment is a sort of bug net. So quite look at the size of that guy. It's like, can you see that one? These huge beetles around the site. Okay, so we've got pillow, as you'd expect. My secret to a comfortable night's sleep here, and I've learned that after having several nights not comfortable. You can't sit up in this tent. That's the thing. It's nice and easy to put up and stuff. It's a portable one really, but if I sit up, you can't. Maybe if there you go. I can sit up like that, but your head's right in the top. My secret to a good night's sleep in a tent is, well, it only works if you're not being portable. If you want to carry all this in your rucksack, it's not working. Oh, there's a gap in the zip. That's not good. Let's try and move that down there. Maybe that's where bugs are coming in. I've got one on my chin. Probably just a hair. Yeah, so my tip for a good night's sleep is not to rely on sleeping bags, but duvets. This is a child's Christmas print duvet, single one, and underneath that I've got some foam which I used for the video that I did on the fabric wall panels, and then I've got a big, really big, I don't know if it's a king size or Olympic, but it's a really big duvet to sleep under rather than a sleeping bag, because I've never ever in my life had a good night's sleep in a sleeping bag because you can't move your knees apart. It's just super uncomfortable. So sleeping on a duvet, which is instead of wrapping the foam in a sheet, and that gives a bit of extra padding. I've trimmed the grass on this section, but that marsh grass, the base of it's so big and lumpy that you just can't get it flat. I mean, it's camping, right? If you were camping, wild camping, you're not going to take a mower or a strimmer, so you're going to have to just deal with it. And if you're in that situation, you're also not going to have one of these big foam things to sleep on. But yeah, that's it. That's the tent. That's how we sleep. Take your boots. Bring your boots in though, because if you leave them outside like that, they'll just fill up with bugs in the night, and you'll end up waking up with slugs in your shoes. Alright, time to get out. Get this on. What's that left? Oh, that's the wrong one. Left. I feel like Casper, my son, he always likes putting his boots on the wrong way. But he's only 2, and I'm 33. I should know better. I could just about manage left and right. At least I can if I've had one go already. Right, we're in. We're backing out. And then get this shut as quickly as possible, so all them bugs. And then let's get this shut. Okay. Oop. Some offcuts of carpet are super handy. Again, none of this, if you're camping, none of this is going to work. You're not going to take offcuts of carpet on the floor. But I do that just so I can get in and out without having, mud traipsing through. And I put this tarpaulin over the top. It's not a tarpaulin, it's fresh. Nope, it's that. Got it from Argos. It was 50 quid, which is expensive. But when it was raining, the tent it was okay, but the inside touched the outside, and then it ended up, the water kind of got through a little bit. So I thought if I've got a tarp on the outside, then at least the rain hits that, runs off, and then kind of runs like down that way, down and off, instead of sitting on the top of the tent. It sits on top of the tarp, so you've got that problem, but I just thought it's an extra line of defense to your tent. What you probably want to do is, if it's rained, you want to take your tent down and then let it dry somewhere, but I haven't got time for that. You've already seen that I'm running around like a madman here. So yeah, that's the sleeping accommodation. I would say one of the best things here is the light when you're going to bed, because I keep working until 11 o'clock, which is when I go to bed, and the difference here, there's no difference in light here as far as I'm aware, but it's just the difference. Your eyes just kind of go through the twilight. You feel like you should be going to bed. It's just different when you're looking at screens and things at home. I try not to have screens on about an hour before bed, but when you're in the environment, even light bulbs, we have dim light bulbs like they Philips Hue at home, and they go down about an hour before bed to kind of twilight red light, but it's just different when you're actually in the environment. So I think it really helps you wind down, and you feel I think as a species we must have gone to sleep at twilight, because when it gets twilight out here, it's about 10, half 10, you start to feel the need to get into your camp, your tent, your cave, whatever you've got. You start to think, okay, now's the time. You've got this kind of half an hour before it starts to get actually dark, and it's a feeling that comes from within, which makes me feel like we must have gone to bed at that time when we were. Are we Homo sapiens, or we are Homo sapiens, aren't we? Because there's that book by something Hural, which is Homo sapiens, and it's got Homo Deus, and I've read all three of them, but if he's called it Homo sapiens, we must still be called Homo sapiens. What were we called before Homo sapiens then? Don't know. But yeah, I reckon we went to bed. At twilight. Although there is that thing that, I'm going on about it now, aren't I? There was that thing where if you're a morning person or an evening person, that you're that way so that you did the camp watch. So if you're an evening person, you would have stayed up a little later, and the people who were morning people would have gone to bed, and you would have kept an eye on things. And then the morning people would have got up early, and if you're not a morning person, you're a night owl, you'd stay asleep. And there's also a difference between teenage sleep patterns and old people's sleep patterns. So that, well, this is just a theory, so that naturally as you age, your sleep changes when you need it the most, which means that throughout a camp with a range of age ranges, plus night owls and early birds, you end up with a natural variation in people's desire to sleep, which means you've always got somebody on watch, which I think is quite a nice idea. Living with everybody though, not so sure. Okay, so that's my day. It's my day here. I do continue working now till, like I said, bedtime, but I don't really film it, and it's just, I get my overalls on and do some extra bits, just to keep myself busy really. Stuff I do in the evening at home, because it's twilight, I can't really read a book, and I don't want to have a head torch reading it, because then you've got this all light everywhere, so I tend to just keep going. Plus I've got tons to do, so that's another reason why I keep going. But that's that. I'll see you in the morning for another video.